Hey guys, what you're about to hear from Mark Levin is one of the most intense, truth-filled breakdowns of Trump's economic plan that I've ever seen. This isn't your average policy talk, guys. This is about the fight to save the American economy and take back our future. Stick around, guys. You need to hear this. Let's roll the clip.
Donald Trump is about to do something in economics that's never been done in American history. I want you to listen to me very carefully. You know, people talking about tariffs like they know what they're talking about. People talking about tax cuts like they know what they're talking about, and so forth and so on. They really have no idea what they're talking about. I'd like you to listen to me very, very carefully. Donald Trump is trying to do all of the following at the same time, simultaneously. He wants to slash income and business taxes, slash federal, individual income taxes, federal, corporate income taxes, other taxes, not for billionaires, for all Americans. He wants to slash, and is, regulations. He wants to slash government spending. We've never seen anything like Doge and Elon Musk and those folks in our lives. He wants to slash the size of government, trying to eliminate departments and agencies and personnel. We've never seen anything like this. At the same time, he's increasing tariffs. Now, is he increasing tariffs because he likes increasing tariffs? No, he's increasing tariffs because other countries have been increasing tariffs against us without any response, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Now, why is this so important? Well, obviously, we want the economy to do well, except for the Democrats. They want it to tank because they think it'll help them. But put them aside. This is the most aggressive effort at pro-American growth in American history. I want you to listen to me carefully. From the founding to 1913, we didn't have an income tax. We had a short temporary one during the Civil War. It was ruled unconstitutional because it was. But from our founding up to 1913, 95% of the federal government was funded by tariffs at a rate of approximately 20% on average. Now follow me. We had two major industrial revolutions during this time. From 1750 to 1850, there was no income tax, only tariffs. The second big industrial revolution was from 1850 to 1913. 1913, the passing of the federal income tax under the 16th Amendment. The two great industrial revolutions occurred when tariffs were funding the federal government and there was no federal income tax. What I would argue is the third great industrial revolution occurred under Ronald Reagan for 6 of his 8 years. With his massive tax cuts across the board, we hadn't seen anything like that since the second great industrial revolution. The economy grew under Reagan by almost 30% by the time he left office. It grew more than what was then West Germany. It was massive. In fact, it grew into the Clinton administration, which helped balance the budget. Started in about 1983, and it went into the mid-1990s. And despite what people say, if you look at Reagan's record on free markets, it was not stellar. In fact, the Cato Institute, Reason Magazine, these libertarians, they were very upset with him at the time. So when you hear Rand Paul, one of the 4 Republicans who voted the other day, and says, this takes us back to the 1930s, no, it doesn't. Because in the 1930s, there was massive increase in spending. There wasn't slashing of taxes. There wasn't slashing of regulations. And the Depression went on for 10 years, from 1929 to 1939, because Franklin Roosevelt was a socialist. Donald Trump is a capitalist. But there's even more than that. The Great Depression that occurred in our country, we've had really 2 Great Depressions. And the 2 Great Depressions occurred from 1873 to 1879, the first Great Depression. And the second Great Depression was from 1929 to 1939. No less a great economist than Milton Friedman, a libertarian, by the way, made the point, the Great Depression that occurred from 1929 to 39 wasn't due to tariffs. It was due to monetary policy. And he points out there was a severe monetary contraction by the Federal Reserve. So when the money should have been freed up for investment at the time when the economy is beginning to contract, he has argued that what the Federal Reserve did is they took a bad recession, then they turned it into a depression by tightening money. In fact, he wrote extensively about this. He said the stock of money, the money supply, from 1929 to 33 fell by over 1/3, by over 33%. So there wasn't enough cash available for people to actually physically buy things or invest because the Federal Reserve contracted the monetary policy so much, the contracting economy collapsed. And then, of course, on top of that, you had the socialist policies of FDR. Two great professors from UCLA, economists, wrote about this too. Donald Trump is doing nothing like this. First of all, he's not in charge of monetary policy. What he's doing is something that's never been done in American history. He's looking at the size of government. He's shrinking it. He's looking at the spending of government. He's trying to shrink it. He's looking at the regulations. He's trying to shrink them. He's looking at the size of government, the number of employees. He's trying to shrink it. He's looking at the taxes. He's trying to slash them. All pro-growth, all private sector oriented, all middle class oriented, all capital, R&D, consumer oriented. That's not what happened at these other times. That's a key issue. At the same time, he's using tariffs to do what? To reindustrialize America in areas that we've been deindustrialized. We can't even build ships anymore. We have to rely on other countries for so much of what we do. Now let's take a careful look at this. Capital goods, excluding automotive, took the top spot of imports in 2023, clocking in at $859.1 billion. What does that include? Electric devices, computers, were the two highest types of capital goods imported. Telecommunications equipment, industrial machinery, followed in the highest values of imports. This category also includes semiconductors, food machinery, aircraft parts. Consumer goods were the second largest commodity imported by the United States. Almost $758 billion worth of goods imported. Pharmaceutical preparations were the top commodity. We can't produce our own pharmaceuticals without importing these various elements, mostly from China. Followed by products in the cell phones. Other household good category. Consumer goods also include furniture, artwork, apparel, glassware. Next on the list were industrial supplies and materials, almost $700 billion. Crude oil. Even though we're energy independent, the prior administration made us more dependent than ever, but we still use more energy than we produce today. Donald Trump is trying to change that too. Again, we've never seen anything like this in American history. The pro-growth side of the Trump agenda is unmatched. It's unmatched. It's not just tax cuts. It's cutting government. It's cutting government personnel. It's cutting regulations. We have never, ever seen anything like this. Ever. This category also includes finished metal and plastic products and so forth. So Donald Trump's looking around and he's saying, we need to reindustrialize America. We need to be able to make the products we used to make for national security reasons, for our economic health, to build our skyscrapers, to build our roads, to build our economy. We can't just rely on China. Basically, we import most of what we import. Number one, Mexico. Number two, Canada. China's right up there. Number three, right on their tails, Japan and so forth. And he looks at this, he says, they're ripping us off. Not only won't they take our goods, in the case of China, they're stealing our goods. They're stealing our technology. They're stealing our proprietary information. Companies go in there and they immediately say, okay, we own 51% of your business. You're going to make available to us all your data. You're going to make available to us all your proprietary information, all your patents. It's like, excuse me? And on top of that, when we're done, we're putting you out of business. Trump says, that's enough of that. Japan. Most of our electronics are not made in the United States. The same thing happened with Reagan. What Reagan did is he put import quotas on. What Trump is doing, he's putting tariffs on. That's enough of that. Who makes televisions in America anymore? Who makes computers in America anymore? There may be a few assembly lines, not much. And of course, we know the issue about computer chips. We were the number one in the world. Now we're nowhere. And so they're trying to figure out how to do it. We can't build ships anymore. Theodore Roosevelt's Navy can't be built today. Our Navy is way behind in terms of the number of ships of the Communist Chinese. He's looking at that. He's saying that is a huge problem. You know what else he's looking at? Donald Trump is looking at the whole world. He's seeing that the Communist Chinese and the Russians, they're in choke points. The South China Sea, he sees it. He's talking about Greenland because he sees Russia has 10 military bases in the Arctic Circle. He sees what they're doing. He sees that Communist China has contracts on both ends of the Panama Canal, that they're making it difficult for the United States, should they blackmail us militarily, to function, to push back, to have the kind of economy that we need, the kind of trade that we need. He's not anti-trade, he's for trade. He's not anti-market capitalism, he's for market capitalism. He's for free markets. But he's saying we don't have a free world market. We're getting screwed. That's what he's saying. So now we're going to have a trade war, people say. Well, we might. And his answer to that is all they have to do is reduce their tariffs. It's called reciprocity, and we'll reduce ours. But if they don't, doesn't that prove the point? That they want to destroy our industries? And he says they are destroying our industries. Slowly but surely and more quickly than normal, we're being hollowed out. I've looked at the history of these industrial revolutions. I've looked at the history of tariffs and income taxes. Now, what's interesting about the Democrats, they don't want to cut income taxes. They have they have a problem with stuttering. It's called tax cuts for billionaires. You bring tax cuts for billionaires. No, we want to eliminate taxes on tips, tax cuts for billionaires. No, we want to eliminate taxes on Social Security, tax cuts for billionaires. It's like they have an issue there, and they need help. But you look at China. China has tariffs overall in the United States of 67%, in addition to stealing all our stuff. What does Trump say? He says, all right, we're going to put a tariff in there of 34% on top of the 20 we already have. He takes a look at other countries. He's looking at the European Union, our friends, 39%. He says, okay, we're going to put 20% on their goods. He looks at Vietnam, 90%. He says, nah, we're not doing that. 46% on that. Even when it comes to reciprocity, he's not putting, for a lot of these big countries, the same level of tariffs on them that they're putting on us. And he's saying, we can't continue this way, or the United States is going to cease to be an economic and military superpower. That is what he's saying. And I started to look at this again from a macro perspective and a historical perspective. He is doing something that's never been done.
Hey, if you believe that it's time to bring our jobs back, stand up to China. Stop the madness in Washington. Do me a big favor. Hit that like button right now. It helps this message reach more people, guys, who are tired of watching America get sold out. Now let's break this down, because what Mark Levin just laid out is historic. Trump isn't just proposing a policy. He's launching an economic revolution. He's not tweaking the margins. He's trying to overhaul the system and rebuild it to serve us, the American people. Massive tax cuts for working and middle-class Americans. Deep cuts to government regulations. A shrinking federal workforce. All while finally hitting back at foreign countries that have taken advantage of us for decades, guys. Decades. With unfair tariffs. You know who hates this plan? The elites. Because it shifts power back to the people. Think about this, guys. For over a century, our government was funded almost entirely by tariffs, not income tax. And during that time, we had the two greatest industrial booms in human history. We built this nation into an economic powerhouse without income tax. Trump is saying, why can't we go back to something that actually worked? And the left's response? Panic, fear, lies, protests. They say Trump's plan will create inflation and deficits. But here's the truth, guys, and don't miss this. Tax cuts don't cause inflation. Government printing and reckless spending does. You and I don't create inflation. The Federal Reserve and Washington bureaucrats do that. Trump wants to take the power out of D.C. and give it back to the people who actually build things, us. He's looking at China, he's looking at Russia, he's looking at the EU, and he's saying, guys, you've taken advantage of us for too long. That ends right now. He's looking at the hollowing out of our our manufacturing, our shipbuilding, our energy sector. And he's saying, we're going to rebuild. We're going to reindustrialize. And we're going to win again. Guys, this is bold. It's aggressive. It's unapologetically America first. And we need this now more than ever before. So let me ask you guys, do you support Trump's plan to bring American industry back home? Do you believe that we can end our dependence on China and actually build again? Let me know what you think down in the comments, guys. I read every single one. And guys, if you haven't already, do me a favor, subscribe for more unfiltered conservative commentary. Consider becoming a channel member to support the work that we're doing here and help us fight back against the mainstream narrative that is poisoning the minds of Americans. Guys, this is bigger than politics. This is about survival. Let's fight for our future together.